With the sun out, this is the perfect time to record my daily video. Um, why we shouldn't care, why you shouldn't care what other people think of you. That doesn't mean why you shouldn't care about other people. It means you shouldn't care what they think about. Not your parents, not your friends, not your colleagues, not the world, whatever. If I would care about what other people think, I wouldn't be able to do these videos. And sometimes I look at them afterwards, not that often, and I cringe. And we all have that. We are our biggest kind of critics. But more importantly, why you shouldn't care about what other people think is because it's holding you back who you're meant to be, what you're meant to do, what you want to do. Think about how often you're not doing things because people either tell you it's impossible or it doesn't make sense or you're taking too much risk or you couldn't do that or whatever. How many things in life have you already not done because what you think what others might think or what they actually said? And so you both shouldn't care what they might think and you shouldn't care what they're saying because it's just holding you back to do what you're meant to do and what you're good at. And so where does that come from? Where does this fear come from? How other people judge us? So one of our deep fears or the deepest core fear is not being enough. And not being enough as a result of that is the fear of not being loved. And not just, I'm not talking about romantic love, but love of parents, love, appreciation of friends, and the opposite of that is obviously fear of rejection, being rejected by going out. And the easiest way is to stay in comfort, like do what everyone else is doing. Like, why are so many lives kind of similar? Like the way we approach life in terms of, and I'm taking some stereotypes, cliche things like, but we go to school and then we might study and then we get a job and then we might find someone that we fall in love with and then we have a family and then kind of we work hard, we make some money, we maybe buy a house and then we retire and then we try to enjoy life and travel. That's not a bad life. It's just you can take many other forms of life and maybe you also can do things that you love instead of just focusing on kind of the normal jobs, which actually most of them are going to be taken away by AI and robots in the future, which also makes this all the more interesting why you should really do the things you love, which for most of us are more creative things. Like at the moment, most of our jobs are kind of robotic jobs, right? Kind of like you have an input and you do something to it and output. These are things that computer will do in the very near future. And I'm talking about, less than a decade. Anyway, my topic is here more about the fear of rejection. And as long as you care what other people think, it's holding you back in life and you will resent it. And you will resent the people that you think might judge you. So the best thing is to start to overcome, first of all, to understand that fear and really ask yourself, why are you not doing X, A, B, or C? And also, let's say, for example, next time you slip up and you fall on the floor and everybody looks at you. Most people are deeply embarrassed, but why? This can happen to anyone. Just smile, get up and say, oh, I must have misstepped. And so every time you're embarrassed about something, every time you don't do something because you think what other people are going to say or do or judge you, but you actually want to do it, just do it. And you kind of will go through positive reinforcement and you will realize that actually it's not that difficult. Like for me putting this video up here, and I know there's some people who think this doesn't make any sense. And for other people, it is life-changing. And they devour every single video. As long as you care what other people think, there will always be people, even if you go for the most standard life and you may take no risks and go for the very comfort, like safe, secure, there will always be people who judge you, for example, for not taking more risk or not. You might not know these people and you might not hear from them, but whatever you do in life, there will always be critics and there will always be supporters. There will always be cheerleaders and challengers. But that shouldn't hold you back from doing what you really love to do, what you want to do. And just imagine the life and the choices you would have made if you would have gone for what you're really passionate about, what you really wanted to do. And it goes back to really anything, like that girl or guy you saw on the other side of the street that you really thought was like really interesting and amazing and you didn't approach him or her. That raise in the job you didn't ask because you thought you're not worthy or you're afraid of what the reaction is. Whatever, the job you rejected or the opportunity you rejected because you thought it might be too risky, but actually it's really what you wanted to do. The career you wanted to take, but then you went for the kind of safe, so-called safe option, which is not that safe anymore, but that's another story. Every time we kind of, our intuition always tells us what we really want. Like, we know what we want, but then we kind of switch on our mind, and we rationalize and say, oh, this is too, and then our fear mindset comes in, what others think, what could be the risks, and we always overestimate the risks that are unlikely to happen, and we underestimate the opportunity and the beauty and the love that it brings if you do the things we really crave of doing. So I encourage you, and you can start with the smallest things. I don't know, you just drop something in the tube or the subway, and you're wondering what everybody else is thinking. No one is thinking anything. They're busy with their own lives. We always think we're the center of the universe, in a good way and in a bad way, but we're not. We're just one of short of 8 billion people, and we all are kind of have the same fears and desires, etc. And we're all trying to just live hopefully a happy and thriving life, or at least get by. And so don't, just move on and just ignore all the noise that in many cases not even out there. It's like imaginary judgment you're putting on yourself, and just do what you want to do. I can just, once you start doing and following your intuition and what you really crave of doing, things start happening and amazing stuff happen. But as long as we're coming from this corner of, how would I describe it? This corner kind of protective and scared and worried, what could happen, what would people think, you will never thrive, you will never do amazing stuff. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're just a follower. You just, you're kind of always a step behind. The amazing stuff happens when you do what you crave of doing, what you love doing, what you're passionate about, what you can't stop talking about. Think about what these things are and start doing them in the little and the big stuff, and start seeing the rewards you get by doing that. And life will never be the same again.